Greetings shippers, welcome back, and it's time for another episode of Fic Rec Friday, the series where we take a look at fanfic recommendations. This week we're back to the usual random fics. We're gonna throw them out there and see if you guys like any of them. Before we get started, if you haven't already, please do follow on social media to stay up to date, know when we're streaming, and just come on over and chit chat about fandom. It's a good time, I swear. Because this is our fanfic rec video, we're gonna of course do our usual disclaimer. It must be reiterated that this is not a bashing space, and you can expect to find a variety of fics on here. Everything. The dark, the taboo, the overplayed, rival pairings, gen fic, fluff, anything you can think of, it could appear here at some point. As a result, please do not seek out the reader, the writer, the wrecker, or anybody for harassment. Different strokes for different folks. If a rec doesn't sound like it will be for you, hopefully one of the others will be. Or of course, one of the many recs that people leave down below, which are fantastic. There's a lot of really cool fics being wrecked down there. In fact, last week we did an entire fan rec video, our second one. So if you missed that, please check it out. The card will be over there, or you can click the link down below. Of course, you don't have to like everything, every pairing, every ship, every fic, that's 100% fine, but we can all discuss it respectfully. Quick lickety split, because we want to get to the fics. They're a bit shorter this week, and that's because, have you ever found yourself in a situation where everybody around you is sick? Your family is sick, your coworkers are sick, just everywhere you go, people are coughing, sneezing, hacking, and you're just counting down the moments until it's you? That is currently my life. I have escaped thus far, but now that it's hit the family and the coworkers, I don't think I can escape much longer. I'm going to be felled any day now. So that meant that the fics I read this week were shorter in preparation, just in case, because you never know. First off, we're going to be hopping over to the supernatural fandom, and we're actually going to be taking a look at a Castiel pairing, the pairing of Dean and Castiel, and it's a wing fic. Now, we've done a video discussing what exactly wing fics are, so if you missed that, again, please click the card or link will be down below, so you can know all about the origin and proliferation of the wing fic. This fic has a lot of wing fic tropes in it. It's angsty, it's coming together, it's fluffy. In fact, one of the tags is fluff and smut. So for those who love both, this fic gives you both. This fic is called Singed by Quill Quiver. One chapter, word count 5,582. The concept of this one is that Castiel used to be very proud of his wings. They were huge, fluffy, angelic, all things people have imagined when they conceive of angel wings. Also that he doesn't manifest them, but that they're always there in some sense, just perhaps not in our plane of existence, but they're there, and he can feel them and knows about them. Cass's wings were indeed beautiful, however all of that changed when he went to save Dean. This fic deals with the concept that when Cass raised Dean from perdition, it destroyed his wings, and that they're injured and burnt, and that now he's ashamed of them. He's so glad for what he did, but at the same time he has a hard time looking at his wings. So when his wings get hurt and Dean offers to care for them, he's very torn, but ultimately he ends up letting him do it. And Dean learns all about angel wings, how they got that way, and more about Castiel in the process. It's a very sweet fic, and if you love wing fics, preening fics, dealing with angst about wings, just everything, this fic has everything for you. So perhaps if you've read a lot of Castiel but you haven't exactly taken a look at the wing fic side of things yet, this might be for you. Fic 2 is gonna take us over to the Erik fandom. That's right, we're getting basic this week. Basic is not always a bad thing. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. I myself am quite fond of a pumpkin spice latte. This fic is called Elpis by Gary Deb. One chapter, word count 4,957. This is a post-first class fic that also incorporates so much of the canons from the comics, the series, the earlier film series, just everything all wrapped up together. It's a great portrayal of Charles and Erik. This fic is one of those extrapolations about what was going to happen in the in-between series before Days of Future Past, and how these two would keep coming into contact with each other as they moved along in their destinies. This culminates in Charles and Magneto, now leading the Brotherhood of Mutants, going to the same place. Charles to negotiate and see just what is going on at this facility, and Magneto to destroy it because he's heard what's going on at that facility. It deals with the two discussing their philosophies and where they are when Charles suddenly gets very injured, and Magneto drops everything to be with him, because of course he does. This fic follows the usual plot points of fics of its ilk, but has the added benefit of being so in tune with these characters that you really feel like you're inhabiting them. It also makes them both flawed and allows the reader to decide how they feel about what is going on, and it also treats their relationship with this bittersweetness that can be hard to pull off. So it's not a fix-it, and it's not a happily ever after fic. It very much encapsulates these two's relationship, which is made up of these small moments when they get to interact, and this is still usually happening amidst the peril of the world around them. So if you like fics like that, then this is another one to check out. The Erik fandom is full of fics like this, but this one really stands out to me, and it does a lot of things just well. And sometimes fics like this can end up being buried because there's so much choice. So I like highlighting ones that people might not have seen, especially because at the time, post First Class, these fics were flying out. This fandom exploded, and it would be to the point where there were dozens, if not more, fics being posted a day at one point. It's still a very strong fandom as well, and it is going to see even more interest when the Dark Phoenix movie finally arrives, and people already have been going back since the trailer, and some people just never leave. 3. Staying in the superhero fandom, because who am I kidding? You know that is my home. I may visit other places, but I'll always come home to roost like a bird, like a robin. Actually not like a robin, they don't tend to have good fates. This fic is called The New Normal by Finely Honed, or Jacqueline_Hagar. Most likely mispronounced. If so, I'm so sorry. 1 chapter, word count 3,455. This fic is, get ready for it, drum roll, it's a Winter Iron fic, pairing of Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, and Iron Man. This pairing has its supporters, and has had them for quite a while. It's one of those under pairings that if you look into it, has a very strong, firm shipping base, even if it's not the biggest pairing. Also, it's bigger than you may expect. For many people, this is a straight up no TP, or simply one that they don't contemplate based on the events that have taken place in canon. But before those events were revealed, and even after, this ship has held firm. And it also has its fair share of tropes that people play out as ways that these two would get together. This one was written post-Winter Soldier, but pre-Civil War, although you get some great angsty post-Civil War fics. This one deals with the trope that Bucky needs someone to fix his arm, and so he goes to Tony. And Tony cannot resist taking a look at the tech in that arm. And of course, we all know that Tony doesn't make the best life choices, so he'll take his life into his hands like that. This fic plays with a lot of things underneath the trope though, namely with Bucky trying to figure out who he is, and the concept that a lot of people in fandom play with, that he may not be comfortable around Steve because Steve no longer knows who he is now, and that Steve is expecting him to be the Bucky he was before, someone he can no longer be, as so much has changed and he's simply not the same person. As a result, some felt that he could relate better to Tony, a person who he doesn't have that much of a connection with and who has a shield of their own up around them, which in a way can make them easier to interact with. It's about the two of them finding a way to let their guards down around each other, and Tony being able to convince Bucky that maybe he can start to ease back into his old life but on his own terms, and that the two of them can hang out, no pressure. It's a great fic for those getting into the concept of Winter Iron. It makes a strong case for the pairing, for those who need a bit of convincing. And for those who don't, it's fun to take a look at this trope. Also, side note, this is part 60 of a series. Part 60. The series is called Imagine Tony and Bucky. But before you panic, this is a series of prompt fills that the author has filled from the blog that is Imagine Tony and Bucky. As I said, there are a lot of people who had lots of ideas about this couple, even if they couldn't write them themselves. This is also part of a collection by the same name, which encompasses a whole bunch of works of fills from that blog. I will link all of it down below in case you're interested. Now you got Winter Iron for days. More than days, to be honest. Next up, we're gonna take a look at Nightwing. I can't leave Nightwing alone. He's appeared in a few of these videos now, but this is a very unique fic, and I've never read one quite like it. It's stuck with me, and every now and again, I'll just remember it so forcefully that I'll have to go back and read it. This fic is called Silenced, and the author has orphaned it, hence it says orphan account on AO3. Orphaning a fic is the process wherein the author can disassociate themselves from it, remove their name, but leave the fic up for fans who still want to read and enjoy it. That way, for whatever reason, they can be free of it. This fic is 1 chapter, word count 2,798. And it deals with the objectification of Nightwing. There have long been jokes in fandom that Nightwing is the strongest female character, and there has been an appreciation for Nightwing's sexiness, which despite what people believe is a relatively new trait. Even though Nightwing was always acknowledged to be attractive, this was acknowledged if not played with as he was so young, although some feel that it was played with, it was really brought to the forefront by Devin Grayson, an author on the late 90s, early 2000s Nightwing series, who felt that Dick Grayson's sexiness was part of his character. Since then, it has become a trait that many enjoy, either for a titillation factor or because they find it amusing. Some support it also because of the idea that turnabout is fair play. This fic deals with the concept of what if Dick Grayson didn't like that? What if this was something that played out in canon and made him extremely uncomfortable? How would he deal with that, and who would he go to talk to? Especially investigate in the aftermath of his rape. That was another legacy of the Devin Grayson run that oftentimes gets overlooked. Heads up, we're going to be talking about what for some is uncomfortable subject matter, such as sexual assault, just so that you're aware if that's a trigger for you. There is an, in my opinion, extremely gratuitous rooftop rape scene, wherein a traumatized catatonic Nightwing is raped by Tarantula. This was called out at the time, though not as much as it would be had it occurred in this day and age of social media. It was years before the author ever made a statement on it, and when they did, it was something. Grayson has addressed this a couple of times, with the first time being more defensive, and that she definitely had plans for it, but simply didn't get to them. The latter part may be true, especially with how writers can be taken on and off of books depending upon how the run is doing, or different directions that an editor may want to go in. Ultimately, Grayson ended up apologizing in 2014, stating that she had much different thoughts about the plot now than she had before. Just like all people, creators' opinions on their own works can change. This fic incorporates that canon along with the Teen Titans canon and just the general DCU comic canon at that time. So pre-Rebirth, pre-New 52, all of that stuff. In this fic, Nightwing finds himself talking to Wonder Woman as she's the one person he feels that might actually understand exactly what he's going through. And because the author is playing with Wonder Woman, it gives them a great mouthpiece to be able to discuss the issues surrounding this in a way that doesn't come across as too preachy. For oft times when one is trying to discuss an issue head on, that being without allegory and just straight on addressing it, it can come across as very preachy, and at times the plot can be lost. It very much is an art form to be able to articulate these ideas without the audience feeling like they're being lectured. And most people do not enjoy being lectured, especially if the plot completely derails for it. This fic strikes that balance, and because of how it is incorporated, this feels and is part of the plot, and it works very well and articulates these concepts in a way that maybe people might not have thought about them before. And it's not trying to judge readers either, it's simply playing with a universe where Nightwing doesn't want to be looked at like that. So if that sounds interesting to you, and you want to see how that plays out, well then, check it out. I've read it many a time. It stuck with me. Lastly, we're going to a fandom that we haven't properly discussed before, except in one Fanversations. We're gonna be talking about The Vampire Diaries, TV series edition. There are many differences between the book series and the TV series. And I'm back to my random pairings. This is not Stefan and Elena, this is not Damon and Elena. This is Elena and Elijah. Now, when the talk of the originals, the master vampires, was occurring on the Vampire Diaries in early seasons, the big buzz was about Klaus. The build-up was to Klaus. Who is Klaus? Where is Klaus? Everybody said it very reverently, which was always amusing. Klaus. And admittedly, when Klaus did show up, it was a pretty decent reveal. And that season, he was a pretty credible threat. I know mileage varies. However, for me, I was always intrigued by Elijah and the quiet menace that Elijah exuded.
So granted.
Also, as the plot unfolded, it was revealed that Elijah was yet another person to be in love with an Elena lookalike, an Elena doppelganger. All the people love Elena. Throughout the course of the series, at one point, Elena was a vampire. Yes, I said at one point. A lot happened in this series. It's one of those ones where if you attempted to explain to people what was going on, they would just look at you.
So this high school girl falls in love with two vampire brothers and she can't decide which one she wants to be with, the really brooding one who doesn't enjoy anything or the really bad one who day drinks. Also, there are werewolves and her brother can see ghosts, and at one point she becomes a vampire, but then they cure vampirism and she decides not to be one anymore. And that's just the cliff notes.
Are you enticed yet? Do you need to watch it? Well, while Elena is a vampire, canonically it's the Salvatore brothers who help her deal with it. But this deals with a universe where what if she went to Elijah? What if she just had to get away from that town, all those people, and find some place where she could revel in her newfound vampirism with someone who would understand and had shown a kind of interest in her? There was an intriguing chemistry between Elijah and Elena. Revealed before the connection, so a lot of it came across as him actually being interested in Elena, and that continued on even after you learned about the Catherine connection. So this fic deals with Elijah getting to know Elena and coming to love her for her, and her coming to terms with being a vampire and what that means and what she wants to do with her life. It's called Heal Her Broken Wings by Terapsina. One chapter, word count 12,099. Heads up, it does get a little smutty. If you love your older vampire and younger newly sired vampire fics, then this is one for you. Or just to take a stroll into a rarer pairing. I alas do not have a fan rec this week, but I will have one next week. I'm working through an intriguing one right now. People sent me some time travel fics, and I'm very appreciative. They perked up at time travel and went through their archives and sent them all my way. In fact, next week, we're going to do time travel theme week. I've been so inspired by the recs you guys have sent me. Time travel. Get ready. As someone who forever feels pressed for time, I appreciate a good time travel fic. If you check out any of the fics in this video, let me know, and also feel free to tell me what you thought of them. Please, as always, continue to leave your recs down below. I do save them, I do read them. But, as many of you may know, some weeks there is just no time to read new fanfic, and those weeks are the saddest weeks. As always, I want to thank you for taking some time of your day to spend it discussing fandom with me and looking at some of these recs. I always appreciate it. There, of course, as always, are more videos coming soon, so if you haven't already, please do subscribe and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. There are so many new things coming, and you never know what you're gonna get, except on Friday, which is Fic Rec Friday. I will, of course, see all of you again soon, and until then, let's get to the outro. Bye-bye. This has been Shipper's Guide to the Galaxy. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Special thanks to all of my patrons, names on the side, for helping to make these videos possible. There are, as always, more videos coming soon, so until then, stay tuned, for there are as many ships out there as there are stars in the sky.